Hey guys, I'm Dr. Zainab Vora, and I have the pleasure of having Dr. Syed Muhammad with me, who has gotten a rank of 415. And I've had the pleasure of meeting him a lot of times in offline BTR as well. So proud of you. And how are you feeling? How has the journey been like?
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's been a privilege acting under you. Yeah, it's been a tough journey, but I'm glad it turned out all well, ma'am.
Yeah, turned out amazingly well.
Yes,
So let's talk about, where did you do your MBBS from? How was MBBS for you, and what were you, mainly focusing on during that time?
ma'am, I did my MBBS from a private medical college in Tamil Nadu, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I did my undergrad days quite well, even though I used to study at the last minute before my internal exams, but I used to do it quite well, and I believe that was my first strong foundation.
Yeah.
So,
So
which then got built.
you started reading textbooks then.
Yes, ma'am. I even at that time, I don't know, I don't know if it was my instincts, but I used to read standard textbooks in the first. Then I used to go to shorter, crisp material before the exam so that it's revisable and
Right.
yes, ma'am.
Right. Like most of us medical students, I think,
Yes, ma'am.
before the
Yes, ma'am.
exam, we go to shortcuts, like
Yes,
always.
ma'am.
Great. So when we go to final profs and all, did you start using any apps? Did you start using video or QBank, or were you focused on prof exams?
Yes, ma'am. I started my NEET PG preparation around third year during the Corona lockdown, but I didn't. It wasn't full fledged. I did some 4 to 5 subjects, but then once finally I started, I was fully focused on textbooks and university exams.
Right. Amazing. So basically, you weren't into core NEET PG
No,
prep per
yes,
se.
ma'am.
You're
Yes, ma'am.
thinking about it. Right.
Yes.
So cut to internship, how hectic was it? Were you able to study during internship?
Internship wasn't quite as hectic as it used to be in government colleges, but yet
Hmm.
in the times I could find between, I used to just solve custom modules, and there is nothing
Okay.
I didn't. I was like, okay, we'll take it slow. So
Hmm.
just used to solve questions during as much as
Hmm.
possible during those time. And once after my internship completed, I started my core preparation, ma'am.
Okay. And how was that like? What did you do?
I joined a face-to-face classes, and it went on for 6 months. But
Mm-hmm.
that was my only read of the main source. After that,
Yeah.
I couldn't actually revise them. I didn't get the time. I discovered
Hmm.
you and BTR on the time of Jan February, ma'am, and since then. It's been my only source.
Hmm.
I can happily say that this rank is nothing but testing fully on BTR, ma'am.
Amazing. You are one of the very few students I've met who has not seen any other videos,
Yes, ma'am.
which is most of the students nowadays have a habit. Now, in fact, they're starting from the first year itself, which I don't think is very, very healthy. But, everybody is relying very heavily on video lectures. And I think you are very unique in that regard, that you've
Yes,
probably
ma'am.
never done any video except for,
Yes,
BTR towards the end.
yes,
Great,
ma'am.
great. So that's great. So how did you utilize BTR? That is what if you can tell the juniors how to
Yes,
make the most of it, because there are so many thoughts and it works for some, doesn't work for a minority. So
yes,
how to best utilize it.
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, what I learned from you the best was not more than what to study. I learned how to study from you, ma'am. So it was like a game changer for me. Uh, and the concept of triage was actually new to me. Like studying
Hmm.
what is necessary, actually having them on the fingertips, and then building upon that was what I believe turned out to
Yeah.
be this rank.
Yeah, because there is no end. Why we say that
Yes,
is not to limit ourselves to, content. It's just
yes,
that first do this, and then, because otherwise it becomes very overwhelming. More than
yes,
anything, it's
ma'am.
the mental toll. I think all
Yes,
of
ma'am.
this phase takes on a
Yes,
lot of students.
yes, ma'am.
Right. Amazing.
As you
So
always say,
did
like
yeah, go on.
the limiting factor is not the time; it's actually the brain.
Yeah.
So that's very true,
Correct.
ma'am.
Yeah, amazing. So how so would you see BTR, bonus BTR, ENDs? Did you attempt the test and discussions as well?
Yes, ma'am. Before the postponement, which was the first exam was
Mm.
supposed to happen on June 23rd. Before that, I have done BTR and bonus BTR multiple times. I did,
Right.
and in what END just 2.0 alone, which was
Okay.
yeah. Then after the
Great.
postponement came,
Mm.
I had some backlogs and covered
Mm.
those compile
Mm.
modules, the rest of the
Right.
ENDs. I
Yeah.
used the remaining time in the postponement to cover them all.
Great. Great.
Yes.
So, I mean, the postponement worked to your advantage, I think, because this time the paper wasn't like 2.0 or,
Yes,
like
yes, ma'am.
NEET.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
It
ma'am.
was much like our 1.0, which was a bit, on the
Yes,
tougher side, USMLE kind of a
yes, ma'am.
question. And this time the exam did turn up like that. So you also came to, I think, a lot of offline
Yes,
classes.
ma'am.
Um,
Had the opportunity to attend three of
two,
your offline class. Three,
three.
ma'am.
I mean, what was your approach then? And did attending it three times help, or you were just coming for the confidence, that all right,
Yes, ma'am.
whatever she's I'm gonna predict it.
Actually, I came for the approach of revision only, ma'am. So those 250, those 250 pages out of the entire 1,000 pages of BTR was my
Yeah,
strongest point. So
yeah.
that confidence really helped me to
Hmm.
gain further knowledge, ma'am. So the offline BTR
Amazing.
were like amazing, ma'am.
Were you able to keep up for the 3 days? Does it
Yes, ma'am.
become taxing for a student? How is it from your perspective?
Yes, ma'am. For the first time when I attended, it was quite tough. Yes,
Hmm.
ma'am. Because I hadn't completed watching all the BTR and
Yeah,
videos, so it was quite
yeah.
overwhelming the first time. The second and
Hmm.
third was like I could actually sit there and actually do active recall before you could even
Hmm.
tell them. So it
Yeah.
was like a confidence booster for sure, ma'am.
Amazing. I think so. If we can sum up your strategy, it was like first to master the bare minimum, which we would say
Yes.
as offline. You definitely mastered that over the 3 sessions. Then you further mastered our entire BTR module, and you had main notes to go back to. Did you go back to those notes?
No, ma'am. Actually, I was planning to, but
Mm.
I didn't have the time to go
Right.
back. Actually, ma'am. Yeah, I
Right.
felt
So,
BTR alone was sufficient for me.
hmm.
Yeah.
How was your GT graph going? How did you get the confidence that this much content is enough?
Yes, ma'am. Before I started BTR around till December, January, was still around the range of mark range of 300, 400 only, ma'am. So
Hmm.
once
Hmm.
I have done one full read of BTR, it actually jumped
Hmm.
very massive jump from 120, 130 questions to 150 plus, ma'am. So since
Great.
then, it's been like 150 plus only, ma'am. Ups and downs. Yes.
Amazing. I think one disclaimer which I want to tell the students, it's not a magical jump.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that base is very important, which you
Base is
had
very
built,
important.
by
Yes, ma'am.
those textbooks, by
Yes.
having a strong MBBS. So you need some sort of a basic knowledge, and then it remarkably helps because then you are just doing, a finessing of your knowledge. And I think that is something where you really get benefited.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Great. How was the exam for you? Which shift?
Ma'am, I did the morning shift, ma'am. Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
How was
though
the
it was
experience?
though it was relatively easier than the evening shift
Mm,
after I saw the recalls, but compared to the usual NEET question papers, I felt it quite tough
yeah,
only. But I just made
yeah.
sure not to make any silly mistakes on my half,
Mm,
to read every
mm,
questions properly, and that was all my plan before starting the exam, ma'am. So I hope I didn't made one or two silly mistakes, but it
mm.
would have been more. So I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So how many correct do you think you would have gotten? Did you see the recalls?
Yes, ma'am. I didn't see it after the before the result. I just saw after the
Mm,
result. I think it should be
okay.
around 165 plus, ma'am.
Great.
Not
I mean, I think it's very from rank 1 till 500. I think there's hardly a difference of, 2, 3 questions. That is how the competition is at this
yes,
point. Everybody is so well prepared that it's one or two MCQs with which changes your rank in hundreds. So I think that's an amazing score. And while giving the exam, we have this pressure, which is not there in a normal GT. You have this pressure of double checking every question, maybe trying to change it, second guessing yourself. How do you stay, away from such instincts?
ma'am. During the exam, I like make sure like rule out the options first, so that I get a confidence, like the clarity whether I can rule out to two options, so I could whether answer it or not in the first place. And I used to the main strategy was looking for buzzwords, ma'am. So picking out the right buzzwords and ruling out options help me to stay focused.
Because it was a very clinical paper this time. It wasn't a straightforward one-liner paper. You had to read a question. Options were also confusing apparently.
Yes, ma'am.
So so elimination really helps. I mean, if you can give one advice, is always look at the 4 options. Don't try to find an answer from your brain. Answer is there in front of you. You have to eliminate and then find it. Great. So if you have juniors, from your college, you have many listeners here. What is your advice to them, who are now preparing to start over or just start afresh? So how would you advise them to approach this 1 year? You can answer in 2 parts. One would be for interns and one would be for people who have completed their internship.
As far as interns are concerned, we don't actually get a lot of time. We don't have to beat ourselves up to that actually becomes very toxic productivity. So we have to use as much time as we can and do as much revision videos as possible because there is always time for an improvement. So without much pressure, we could for interns solving questions, custom modules, and using the remaining time to watch videos would be sufficient, ma'am. As far as post interns are concerned, many people the difficulty becomes because it becomes a marathon after that. It's not a sprint anymore. So because we are used to sprints like internal exams and university exams. So once it becomes a marathon, I think people struggle with, especially myself, I was struggling with sitting for long hours. So, but I think we should focus more on the quality of work than the amount of time which we put in. So that really helped me because even though I study, I won't say like I studied every second of the day. So, but whatever time I studied, I made sure that I was fully focused and whatever point I learned went into my head. So that really made me be consistent, and being consistent also really matters in this journey because it doesn't matter we have to give our best every day. It matters that we have to show up every day, man. That's what I believe in. So I believe yes, ma'am. And
very nice. Yeah. So just to interrupt you, basically, what you beautifully said is don't put undue pressure on yourself, right? Most of the times it is us taking the pressure, of the exam. Don't do that. It's a very long journey, and you just have to make sure you're showing up daily, doing something every day at least, and slowly it will build up. I think the efficiency does build up closer to the exam. In our case, the exam dates only keep differing. That's a different ball game altogether. But then your efficiency will slowly increase. What were you saying?
Yes, ma'am. And the other strategy would help me was which you told like if after I didn't have the time to like make an extra 20th notebook like that, ma'am. So I used a different highlighter every time I read. So for every page I used to highlight, for example, 4 or 5 points, and then in the next revision I used to read only those, and those 4 or 5 become 3. So I could focus on the things which I don't know rather than studying the things which I already know again and again. So this strategy of yours really helped me, man.
Great. So I really wanted to see the condition your book is in right now with multiple highlighters. That would be a sight to see. But great job, I mean, so very well done and so happily, with a smile you've done this, and that is what makes me very happy and to see you so peaceful and calm. A lot of people are just very hyper in terms of their approach. So don't go against your personality. You don't have to be so hyped up about the exam. Take it slow, show up every day, and you can do amazingly well. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you so much, it's been
final words? Yeah, please give a shout out to your friends, your family, whatever you want to say.
Yes, ma'am. I will actually give all this credit to the Almighty, then my parents, and the next to you only, ma'am. Because I'm I'm really happy because giving this talking to you, over this platform. Like I have really manifested this during my preparation. This was a part of my visualization before I start my study every day. So it's really been a privilege talking to you, ma'am, and I really owe this mark to you, ma'am, because it would have been possible without BTR and you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Forever
That
grateful.
means a lot. Thank you. Means a lot to me, and I'm so proud of you. That you've achieved this. Hoping to see you soon again. Hopefully not in a class anymore.
Yes,
so,
yes,
so
ma'am.
all
We'll
the
meet
best.
soon.
And yes, all the best. Bye.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.